Okay folks, so here we are in my jungle of an orchid garden, and I want to show you the most spectacular Vanda that I have ever seen. The most spectacular Vanda in the entire orchid galaxy, at least in my book. So today we're going to take a look around and see if you guys can help me spot it. And here we are folks, I do see a couple of Vandas in bloom, so let's go ahead and check them out and see if they are the ones. And this right here, folks, is a Vanda Kun Nook times with a Vanda Pine River. Let's take a closer look and see if she is spectacular enough. And, oh darn it, I don't believe she is. But oh my, how about this one? This particular Vanda right here, very dark and mysterious. This is the Vanda Kultana fragrance, the black variety, and indeed she is spectacular, but she's not the one that we're referring to. And look at here, look at here. Check this first time bloomer out with her very beautiful and red blooms. This particular orchid right here, this Oscasenda laxki, was actually given to me by Caleb of PYC Orchids, and yes, I get to treasure her blooms now. But taking a close look at her, folks, I don't believe she is quite bold enough, even though she is very beautiful. Unfortunately, this one is not the one either. But how about this one right here? Because this indeed is quite a gorgeous beauty with her very unique colors. And also the fact that she is spectacular in her fragrance, completely taking over my garden. This is a Tessellata cross with a Fulcata. And indeed you can see both of the parentage in this orchid. But let's take a closer look at the colors, shall we? Now, if we take a good look, you are noticing a dual tone in color. You're seeing somewhat of a grayish, almost purple-like color, and then you're seeing that nice lavender purple on her tongue area as well. So very, very nice Vanda and spectacular in her fragrance, but unfortunately, folks, she is not the one either. Okay, now totally stop the presses. This has got to be the one. I know it is, folks. You see how spectacular and bold this Vanda is right here. I don't think it gets any bolder than this, does it? With the famous and very gorgeous colors and spottings in the blooms, just wildly patterned, and indeed catches your attention within an instant. So this has got to be the one. This is the Cindy Banks Bill Choice, and again, there is no Vanda in this entire galaxy that can compare to this, right? Well, even though this is one of my most favorite Vandas right here, I do have to say there is something else that can rank right up there with this one. And I actually don't know which one is more spectacular, but let's go ahead and check it out now. And here she is, folks. Can we get a drum roll, please? As you can see, this is a very huge Vanda, but what makes her so spectacular is, of course, her blooms. Now check that out. And you tell me, how amazing is that? Oh my. And this particular Vanda right here is a Vanda Tatsuri or Vanda Tatsuri, however you want to pronounce it. And as you can see right here, this Vanda is incredibly massive. She is humunga dunga, folks, standing at 4 feet tall. That's right. And what's even more spectacular about this one in particular is, aw, she is with full-grown baby, and I have to say she is pretty huge too, which makes it quite awesome because this particular Vanda right here I had the sole intention of selling on my eBay, but oh my, you guys seen the blooms and I was really dreading it, but I'm so happy that she's with child because I'm actually going to keep the baby and mama will actually be going to a loving home. But let us talk just a little bit more about the fabulousness of these gorgeous blooms. And this particular Vanda right here is actually a primary hybrid of two of the most beloved and well-known species. The Vanda sanderiana, which is native to the beautiful island of the Philippines, and also the tricolor, which is native to Indonesia. And as you can see, she does have a very, very long spike. And on this long spike, you will also notice a huge amount of these very nice sized blooms, which I would say is about 3 inches in diameter. So therefore, what happens is this spike has no choice but to become pendulous and cascade downwards because the blooms are just so weighty. And another fact about how this Vanda blooms, if we take a close look at the spike, you will actually see that the flower stems are actually very, very long. And you will notice that with each and every one of the blooms, those very long stems. So for you to be able to truly appreciate and get the full impact of how marvelous these blooms are, you may have to hang your Vanda up quite high. And because this particular Vanda is crossed with two of the most fabulous species Vandas in my book, I believe that this Vanda right here is capable of experiencing the best of both worlds. Let's take a closer look at the blooms and I'll tell you exactly why I think that. Now, if we take a closer look at the actual formation of this hybrid, we are going to see that it is very reminiscent to the tricolor in its shape. Now, indeed, there is slight differences such as the shape or the roundness and the broadness of the petals and the sepal, which I believe that is coming from the actual Sandriana. Now, indeed, you are seeing the exotic form, though, which is found in the tricolor, and the closest other Vanda that comes near having that form is the Lazunica. So, indeed, you are seeing that very distinctive form of the tricolor in the bloom, and also you're seeing the Sandriana coming out in the broadness and also the shape or the width of the size of the petals and the sepals as well, which I can't complain because with all of that pattern in the bloom, I indeed like to see a lot of it. So with broader petals, I love it. Now, as far as the patterns in this, I definitely have to say that's coming from the tricolor as well, because you are seeing that very nice leopard marking within the petals and the sepals. But if we also take a close look at the outer edges, you are noticing nice freckling in there as well. So definitely a lot of wildness going on, very bold patterns in this, which again is reminiscent of the tricolor. And also that pertains to the colors of the petals and the sepals as well, because indeed, you know, the tricolor has that burgundy, magenta, pink, and also white. So indeed, it reminds me exactly of the tricolor coloration, shape of the bloom, and also patterns. Now, what I do believe is really coming from the Sandriana, let's take a closer look again. And if we take a look at the bottom portion of her bottom petals, right here, you are going to see that there is a difference in color. I don't know exactly how well it's coming off on the camera, but indeed, you're seeing that there is a difference from the top portion of this sepal right here, which is white, and going near to the bottom, you're going to see that yellowish greenish color, and that's in both of the actual sepals right there. And that is reminiscent of the Sandriana, because you guys know that is one of its famous markings, is the fact that the bottom portion of the sepals are a different color, and it's that greenish yellowish color. So that is definitely coming through in these blooms. And another difference in the actual coloration of this bloom is going to be found in the actual tongue or the lip area right here. Now, on the tricolor, you know that it's normally magenta and white. And in this one right here, you are seeing that magenta and white, but you are also seeing that orangish, kind of olive green color right there. and it really makes a nice fusion of color. Now, one of the delightful things that I have noted in this cross is the fact that it did retain the fragrance. Now, on this one in particular, it's a mild fragrance. I don't know if it should be stronger or not, because these blossoms are actually just a little bit spent. They are not in their prime, so maybe the fragrance is just a little bit weaker, but indeed, this is still fragrant. And those are the very reasons that I believe that this cross is one of the most spectacular Vandas that I have ever seen. Now, of course, like I told you, you have that very wild and bold leopard spotting in the petals and the sepals. You are getting nice fusion of color in the tongue area as well. Definitely nice color combination in this. It is also fragrant, very exotic in form of the actual flower itself, and very unique in its shape. So indeed, a lot of things going on with this Vanda, and this is why I believe that this is one of the most spectacular Vandas in the entire Vanda kingdom. Now, you guys are going to have to let me know exactly what you guys think. Is this as spectacular as this gal right here? Very boldly patterned and very wildly colored, and indeed this one is a fragrant one as well. So tell me, which one do you guys like better? Which one is the best? And if you believe that these actually deserve the right to be called one of the most spectacular Vandas in the Vanda galaxy. And if you guys actually think there is something else that deserves that ranking, let me know that as well, because I would definitely like to check that Vanda out and post those comments below. I thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode, and as you guys already know, yes indeed, I love you guys all. Mwah!